Hello, I'm Ryan Lester, and this is episode 27 of the Wolves Report, where today we're doing our best to analyse the Newcastle game, talk about Wolves running, their rivals running, taking questions, talking about Adama Traore, and looking ahead to Burnley. Our podcast wouldn't be complete with our pundits, our regular pundit Mark Knock, afternoon Knocky, and today we brought in to sit alongside me and Knocky to give us a bit of quality. We've got a football writer from the Mirror, Ben Husband, and we've got the Wolves correspondent for Birmingham Mail, Alex Dickin. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this afternoon. First of all, if I sound out of breath, not because I'm really unfit, or if I sound a bit wobbly, it's because I've still got long COVID. I'll say more wobbly or more out of breath than usual, because I know some of you would think that anyway. But here we go. Let's crack on with the show. Let's take it back to an unpleasant time 2 weeks ago, Knocky. And remind ourselves, probably, for me, one of Wolves' most insipid performances of the season, where it finished Newcastle 1, Wolves 0.
Yeah, horrendous from start to finish. I don't think we ever really started the game. I thought Newcastle were at us from the word go. We didn't match their energy, we didn't match their work rate, and to be honest, the game would have been over by half time. In all honesty, I didn't really see it coming. I thought after the Villa game, I thought we'd be all over this. We really fancy our chances, but it was just an awful performance, and we could have been a goal down at half time. Real close offside decision, but we were just dreadful. But it just didn't work. I don't think Kundal in a 2 worked. I think if you're going to play Kundal, you need to be playing him in a 3. I thought Hwang and Trincao were completely anonymous, and we didn't give Fabio anything to feed on for the whole game. The only chance he had, he fashioned himself. It was just an absolute disaster. And the penalty itself, was it a penalty? I'm not so sure it was, but Jose Sarr does tend to do that. He does tend to lunge in. So, yeah, just a real bad day at the office. And when you look at the results from the other teams in and around us, it was a real kick in the teeth for us. But at the same time, they didn't pick up points and get away from us, so we're still in the mix. But I think we were really disappointed in the way that we played. It was a big opportunity, but when you've got a squad where you're lacking key players and you've got a squad size that we predominantly carry, you're always putting yourself at risk, aren't you? We just didn't have the numbers to replace the quality for me.
Alex, you went all the way up to Newcastle. Some of us had work, some of us real. It's a long goal trip up there to see that kind of performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the same camp as Knocky. I didn't think it was like that bad. I don't think it was good, but they didn't create an awful lot of chances. And when I saw the team sheet with Kundal and Matinho in midfield, I was straight away worried. Not because I think Kundal's a bad player. I think he's a decent young player and he'll eventually come good. But I don't think you can have him in a midfield 2 in the Premier League. Newcastle midfield, was it Shelby, Joe Linton and Bruno? I'm not going to pronounce the second name, but
go on, go for it.
I thought they were good. They were okay and they had legs, especially in Joe Linton. But that's not a brilliant Premier League midfield. And if Wolves would have had Neves and Matinho, they'd have easily controlled that game. So I just think that was a problem from the outset. And Hwang, I'm not convinced. I think if you've got a player like that, and he's obviously in the team to score goals, he scored 1 in 18. I think Wolves have signed him off a 5 or 6 game run when he first joined the club, and he's been quite poor since, in my opinion. And he hasn't really improved since they obviously gave him the security of that contract in January as well. So I think they took the birthday celebrations a bit too far. Trincao, me and Ben disagree on Trincao at various points this season, but I do like Trincao. The only issue is I don't think he plays particularly well away from home. I think if you're at home, you've got more of the ball against the lower teams. I think he's fantastic and he's great to watch. And he's certainly a player that will entertain fans, but away from home, you've got St. Maximin running at Johnny full tilt all night. You need someone in front of him who's actually going to help him a little bit, and Trincao won't. So I was annoyed at the time because obviously I thought that was, it was a huge chance because Wolves would have gone 6 to the win. And I kind of softened by Monday morning when I saw the Premier League results and realised they were still with a good chance of getting into Europe. And obviously it's got better over the last 2 weeks because no one seems to want to seal 6th or 7th. So I actually think Wolves will still finish in the top 7. They'll finish ahead of West Ham, and I'm debating whether they'll finish ahead of United as well, to be honest. So I'm still quietly confident, but this team has got to. And I think Bruno did say in his presser earlier that this team has had the chance to finish 4th this season. because of the way it's been. And they've just kind of got to the moment where they really need to kick on, and they've always just faltered. And that has been it. We've spoken about this loads. That has been a theme of Wolves in the Premier League. I mean, a couple of years ago they should have finished fourth under Nuno in 1920, and just those final few games they dropped points when they shouldn't have. And they've had chance, and I think this season they'll finish seventh. But it could have been Champions League potentially, or probably Europa League. I mean, it will probably be Europa Conference League, which is European football, but not the European football that everyone wants.
Just saying that though, before I get Ben's opinion on the Newcastle game, and I keep repeating this, I don't understand why nobody, well, not nobody, but by why people are split on Europa Conference League football. That was it. I don't know if it was Feyenoord v Leicester. There was a game at Roma. That's the kind of caliber of team. Imagine an away day trip. You know what I mean? Imagine going to work and you're covering Wolves in Holland or in Italy. Dreams come true. I think there's a lot of unnecessary snobbery.
No. I don't want to come across as snob, but like
no, not from you. No. I didn't mean from you. I meant from.
I probably am.
I meant from some fans, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but people turning. Yeah, Tyler, maybe. Tyler, that's why he's been ditched this week. He's been suspended.
I was going to say, Alex doesn't know his role here because there's far too much positivity coming out of you. So if you're going to sit in Tyler's spot.
I've just been looking at tweets from Hungry Like the Wolves, so I'm probably disappointing him right now. But what I will say about the Europa Conference League, I mean, covering Wolves in Europe back in 1920 was like, brilliant. But that was Europa League and going to great places, Braga, Bratislava, and then obviously in Germany for the quarterfinal as well. But I think Europa League attracts the caliber of player Wolves need. I don't think Europa Conference League will do anything for them in that. I think they'll just be able to kind of get the same players they would if they were in the Conference League. So don't get me wrong, from a fan's point of view, it's fantastic because obviously you get to go to all these great places and stuff and get to get another European tour. But from a club point of view, in terms of attracting better quality players, the Europa League does that for Wolves. I don't think the Europa Conference League does. That's the only thing I would say.
Yeah, what I'm going to do, Alex, I'm going to put your positivity on hold because we're going to need that some later on the show when we talk about Adama. Ben, just going back to the Newcastle game, I think that we're all pretty much on the same page. And as you've known from what I've said on WhatsApp, that's probably unrepeatable on forums such as this, I've been pretty mad about it. And I know you tease me, and you're right to, because I almost felt the performance was unforgivable. Yes, there was limited options, but I don't think the manager changed it when we had the warning and the disallowed goal. I don't think he changed that quick enough. I also don't think that we were brave enough in what we did. And there was changes to be made, but yeah. Ben, your opinion on Newcastle?
Yeah, I mean, without treading over the ground that some of the other lads have already said, the most annoying thing with me was the fact that I sort of had a feeling that we might get beat, but I thought it would be on the back of like a, really partisan home crowd. Newcastle would be up for it, flying into challenges, and it'd be that kind of. I don't think it was. I thought it was just a nothing game that just got away from Wolves slowly, and that was what I found most frustrating because I could have forgiven it if it was one of those. St James's Park for it gets Newcastle fans get a bit of jip, but when they are behind them, like it's quite
noisy,
right? But it wasn't like that against Wolves. It certainly didn't sound like that from the telly. It sounded, once the game was going, the game was just there for the taking, and Wolves just weren't proactive enough. And I was saying from about 5 minutes in, they made it look like they were playing Barcelona. The way that they were set up, in my opinion, the way that they were sat in. And,
Isn't that part of the team selection though? Because I mean, again, I'm going back to Cundle. I don't want to put any blame on Cundle, but if Cundle's in midfield too, I think most of the night, whenever he got the ball, it was normally going backwards. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like they were very safe passes. I mean, his pass completion was pretty through the roof. Same with Hwang, it was like 97%. He only misplaced one pass. I can't remember Hwang playing a forward ball. If you're a forward and you're in the team to take risks, at least Trincao did a bit. I mean, he lost the ball, but he did. Adama Traore, if he was in that game, probably about 10% pass completion rate. But
we're going to talk about Adama in a bit.
He'd beaten 30 players and actually created something. I didn't like the forwards because they didn't take risks, and I just think that the way Wolves set up just kind of they were just inferior to Newcastle. I mean, it's Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? Well,
this is it. I think you said it earlier on, Nocky. What one of you did, that coming off the performance, particularly the first half at Villa. I mean, we were at the Villa game together, Nocky, and as after you'd helped me up the stairs, we managed to celebrate the goals and left early because it was all a bit much. But after that performance, you'd expect so much more. Even if you've got a couple of players out, just the general feel of tucking in away at Newcastle, as Alex said, when it was almost I think, as you said, Ben, the game felt like it was there for the taking. I felt like if Wolves were brave, they'd have won that. But some of these performances, like at West Ham, I can't put my finger on it.
I think it was quite a similar performance to Everton the first half, because I remember watching that at Goodison Park and thinking,
was it that bad at Everton?
I thought first half was dross, but they stepped it up after half time, and the difference was they didn't have Neves in this. Essentially, that was the difference for me, because Neves got his foot on the ball and started driving Wolves forward from half time, and they got the goal. And you win 1-0 and you say that's a good away performance, but Wolves didn't have the second gear.
I think if we'd have gone with a 3 midfield, I mean, I know a lot of people probably won't agree. If we'd have maybe brought Seiss into that midfield and gone with a 3, it may have given us a little bit more solidity in that midfield area. Because when we went to Spurs, I thought Kundal had a real good game because he was playing in a 3. If you see him for the under-23s, he dictates games. He runs the whole show, but he's never going to do that at this level, at this stage of his development. So to think that we can put him in a 2 and he's going to really influence the game alongside Moutinho, who we know is a fabulous player. But it's a big ask to step in there, even above where Dendoncker plays, because you know exactly what Dendoncker's going to do. He's going to rat around, he's going to break up possession, he's going to make it awkward for the opposition. He does a really good job in that midfield area if he plays in a 2 or in a 3. But it was a massive ask for Kundal against a team who were really on the up as well. I just think that was where we lost it. If we'd have maybe gone for a 3 midfield, we could have battened down the hatches a little bit and then start to push into the game. But we didn't really make an impact until the second half when we started to try and get them on the back foot. But it was just all around a very disappointing afternoon. Well,
this is where the frustration comes in for me, Nocky, because in games when you have the VAR decision go in your favour, which often doesn't often happen for Wolves, there's an alarm bell there ringing. This isn't working. We need to change it. Now you've got to swallow your pride. Sacrifice Hwang, sacrifice Trincao. One of those two. Take them off. Put Seiss in midfield. You know what I mean? And tuck in and go from there, try and get hold of the game. But we ignored the warning signs, and in the end, we got what we deserved. I thought tactically it was naive, but it doesn't help when probably, 8 or 9 players off their game, I would say. Who came out of that game with any credit?
Probably, I thought Fabio did all right with the service he had, without really making an impact on the game. But other than that, no, I completely agree. But saying that, the only choice we really had to change it was Seiss, because we know that Neto's not fit enough to start yet. So from an attacking point of view, he was kind of limited. He couldn't bring Raul on because he was obviously suspended. Your only choice was to bring Neto on. You can't do that early because you know he's still carrying an injury. So we were really limited in terms of what we could actually do to change the game. I think when we committed to play that way, I think we were always to put ourselves in a bad situation.
I think in fairness to Bruno, like if you could have, before that game with Neves already out and Jimenez already out, if you could have picked 2 players that you would not want Wolves to be missing, Dendoncker and Podence would be right up there for me.
100%.
Well, I think Podence was a huge miss because we seeing Wolves without Podence, there was no creativity in that team. Trincao tried, yes he did, but Hwang was anonymous.
Podence has been Wolves' best attacker since about December. So yeah, he's a massive miss, and he obviously won't be playing against Burnley either, and there are doubts over whether he'll be available next week either. So like, he's huge for me. He's been the only attacking player this season.
First time he's been called that.
Only attacking player this season who really has kind of been at his top level for the majority of the campaign. The rest of them, for me, have been quite poor. I think Jimenez has had spells where he's done well, but been nowhere near consistent enough. Trincao, Hwang, Jury's still out, and obviously Neto's just coming back from injury. So yeah, he's been a massive miss last game, and I hope it doesn't. It's not a repeat against Burnley.
Yeah, I mean, we'll preview the Burnley game a little bit later on, but just going back to the Newcastle game, then I know, like I said, I've talked about my frustrations, but why did the manager watch it for so long? Nelson Semedo is more positive. Ain't Nouri's positive. You can make these changes when no one's creating anything. Why are you waiting until we're a goal down and so late on?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have had an issue with him challenging it as soon as that disallowed goal happened. And because I think that should have been a reset point because Wolves got really lucky. And to be honest, when that did happen, I actually thought, like, would it have been better if we had conceded? Because that might have actually triggered him into a change a little bit earlier. But because it was still 0-0 and Wolves was still, the plan, essentially, if the plan was to keep it 0-0 and then nick a goal in the second half, the plan's still working. Mm-hmm. So it just delays the changes. Whereas if that goal's given, maybe Bruno does go, right, we will make the changes now, or we'll make the changes at 45 minutes. Or
has he ever made a half-time change?
Yeah, he made. I was just thinking about that because
Brentford, maybe. Brentford.
Yeah, he took size. Went 4-4-2 quite quickly, I think. So I think that's the only one I can think of. And then in the end of that game, it was like 2-3-5 or something mad, wasn't it?
That was crazy, yeah.
That I think the bench was key against Newcastle because he made his first changes in the 78th minute, didn't he? With Neto and Campbell coming on, which I didn't quite understand. I know the day before he had been talking up Chem Campbell and saying that he put him on the same level as Chiquinho, but Chiquinho's actually done decent things when he's come on, even if it's only been for like
he's very direct and positive, isn't he? He's not
aggressive.
as
he's aggressive, really aggressive.
Yeah, he's not as silky as probably some of the other forwards, but he's direct and powerful. It doesn't look like he minds a tackle. I mean, I don't think he'll start tomorrow. Sorry, well, he definitely isn't starting tomorrow. I don't think he'll start Sunday. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But in terms of that team, how many of them could say if they were dropped for the game on Sunday, how many of them could say, well, I don't deserve to be dropped? You could probably say Silva, Sarr, Cody, Johnny.
I know, Ryan, he scored so small we can only drop about 3 of them max, can't he?
Yeah, but we do have like Aït-Nouri, Semedo. I mean, I was just saying that again. I was talking on WhatsApp to Noki earlier on. How much full training is Neto going to need before he's ready for a start? Because surely a fit Neto, even if he's not at his best, will offer more than what Trincao and Hwang did at Newcastle.
I'd actually be surprised Neto started again this season, based on the Crystal Palace game and obviously having the knocks. I think Bruno's going to be really careful with him. I genuinely, if there's a month left, I don't think we'll see him start. They probably start on Sunday now, but I don't think we'll see him start. For the rest of this season. I think his minutes will eventually get longer, but I just think he'll be really eased in gradually and given a full pre-season.
I mean, they did rush him back, against Fulham last time, and then we've missed him for 10 months. So I don't know whether I would rather just ease him in and then let him have a full pre-season and be, Pedro Neto from August next year, rather than us risk a similar sort of thing again.
I think it's Podence, isn't it? I mean, if Podence is there, you can probably do without Neto in the starting 11.
Yeah.
That's the Wolves looking. I mean, we're going to go through the fixtures shortly, but if we're going forward and we're talking about starting Hwang and Trincao again, I mean, I don't see where there's any goals coming from. I mean, we need Podence or we need Neto, ideally both in the team, and we'll talk about it later on, but my God, imagine having Traoré now. The problems would be fixed. Well, not fixed, but you'd have an option, wouldn't you?
2 worst attacking performances this season, West Ham away and Newcastle away. Front 3 both times was Hwang, Trincao and Fabio Silva. So I'm nothing against Fabio Silva, Ben, because I know you're a massive fan.
Here we go. That's blown it.
That's just what I'm saying. That front 3, even with Raul in the middle, I don't think that front 3 work. Those 2 wingers don't offer enough, in my opinion.
But going back to West Ham, and I'm sure you both remember that. You'll all remember the game. Fabio Silva came alive when the better players came on the pitch. When Neto came on, and when Raul came on, he had someone to link with. There was 1-2s and there was touches. But again, like at West Ham, Trincao and Hwang were miles away from Fabio, and then Fabio's getting balls launched him against Dan Burn. What chance has he got? The guy's a footballer. You know what I mean? He's not. I mean, he does win some flick-ons, but he's a footballer. And if you aren't going to get close to him and allow him to use his best attributes, what chance has he got?
I don't see where Hwang actually makes an impact. I mean, we were at Villa Park and he played him in a 2 up front, and he set a completely anonymous in that. Yeah, he put McGinn through for number 2. And when he plays wide, I don't think he has a massive impact. I think he did well against Newcastle in the home game when he scored a couple of goals, but I don't see anything in him at all to make me think he's any kind of answer. Now, there's no. I don't think he's particularly creative. He can beat a man, but I just think he beats.
Where's the quality though?
Like a blind alley, but there's no. you don't look at him and think, yeah, I can see what we're trying to do with him. I just don't see anything about him that makes me think that he's an answer to any kind of problem we've got at the moment. He's just very, very average for me.
Yeah, I think he's average. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's probably worth, what is it, 13 million pound they pay for him. He's probably worth it, but he's not worth it to Wolves, who don't spend a lot of money.
Not at all.
If Wolves have got a small budget in the summer and they've got to sell to buy, it's a terrible signing. And no offence, he might be wrong, and he has a full pre-season, like a few people have said to me, to give him a chance. I'll happily eat my words of any Wolves player that proves me wrong, because it's good for Wolves. However, he's 26, he's 20, obviously 27 next birthday. I don't see how he's going to get better in that position. I'm not seeing enough spark, touch, turn, beat three men, cross it, set him up. What are we getting for our value for money? I mean, yes, he scored them goals, and yes, we said yes, we're going to buy him, but with everybody fit, he's nowhere near in that team. Nowhere near it.
I'd rather have Gibbs White in that side over him. I'd rather have bring Gibbs White back.
Yeah, Gibbs White's
not save the money. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. I would rather have Gibbs White over Hwang. Now you've made me say it again, Knocker.
Well, to be fair,
every week we're going to do this.
But if Gibbs White wasn't a Wolves player that was out on loan and he was putting in the kind of performances that he was at Sheffield United, and we signed him in the summer for 10 million or something, Wolves be like, that's a great little pickup. That's the type of players.
Exactly that. And we did the same with Maddison, didn't we? We did the same with Maddison and Jarrard Bowen. They were on the radar. We let them go, and now they're walking to our team. Both of them players do. So I completely agree. I think if we look at him now, you look at the Championship, he'd be one of the first names that you look at and think we need to go and pick this kid up.
I don't know if either of you know, Alex or Ben. I mean, I know we've said we'll sign Hwang, but obviously nothing's done. Are we fully committed to doing that now then, or do you think there's a chance that we could say...
No. It's done.
Is it? Yeah. That's my Christmas route. That's my Christmas route. It's only
they're giving him a contract till 2026. It's done. It's done.
Just ruining my day, you are, Alex.
Oh.
You tweeted earlier, ruined my day, and now you've done it again.
He's ruining it. Right then, let's step away from that Newcastle game then and try and bring some positivity to the podcast, and let's have a look at the fixtures for the running. As it stands, I think Wolves have got a game in hand over West Ham. They've got a game in hand over West Ham. I'm saying that right, but Wolves running. Burnley, Brighton, Chelsea, Man City to be confirmed, Norwich and Liverpool. What's really interesting now, going on to the West Ham fixtures. Chelsea away, Europa League at home, Arsenal at home, Europa League away, Norwich away, Man City at home, and Brighton away. And I think, as Ben mentioned as well, I think we talked about this on one of the Birmingham Live videos. We need to bring Man United into this conversation about finishing 6th or 7th as well, because they look terrible. Imagine going, and it's not really a derby, but imagine going to a rivalry game, not bothered, just turned up at Anfield, whatever, and it was so easy for Liverpool. Man United got to play Arsenal away, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home, Brighton away, Palace away. Now, I made a brave call a couple of months ago, knocking. I said Wolves will finish 6th. You know what? Alex said it earlier on. I think it's on the cards. I mean, of course, if we don't win at Burnley, that's not going to be happening again. But guys, surely you've got to look at those fixtures and fancy Wolves. Now, a little while ago back, Ben, you made an interesting point. Man United and their situation. Do you want to give us that theory again?
Yeah. I think if it came to it, who did you say they've got in the last game? Palace?
Palace away, yeah.
Yeah, I think if it came to it, they'd play a load of 18-year-olds that have played about 4 senior games between them and get beat.
Conference League?
Yeah. I think they would.
That was
a good shout, that is. It's a good shout.
He said that the other day, didn't he? Finish 8th.
If Ten Hag, if you ask Ten Hag now, would he rather have a full pre-season and get all his ideas across over a 6-week pre-season training camp and then go into the Premier League and have 1 game a week for the entire season, you know, the odd cup competition or whatever, but without having to, you know, we would be excited for going to some of the places that Wolves would play. It's not a thing for United. I think if you gave them the choice on the last game of the season and said, do you want it or should we give it to Wolves? They'd say Wolves can have it.
Yeah, imagine the uproar there. You feel like a team of 18-year-olds.
Honestly, because Palace are going to have nothing to play for, so it's not like the Premier League are going to be able to say they've done anything for the integrity or anything like that. And Palace are good anyway at Selhurst Park, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, Palace are good at Selhurst Park.
If they beat them anyway. But
yeah,
they're going to start shutting players down. They'll end up shutting Pogba down even if he's
out for the season, announced today. Yeah,
that was going to be regardless.
He's got a massive ego strain.
They'll just start shutting players down, and it wouldn't surprise me now if you start seeing some unfamiliar looking lineups, I think.
So let's just go on to that Man United then. I mean, I know it's easy to do this with my Excel spreadsheet, but Arsenal away, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home, Brighton away, Palace away. I mean, I think if Man United get 6 points from their games, I think they've done well. And looking at their performances recently, who are they going to beat in those games? Alex,
they're gonna beat some of those teams. Come on, Ryan.
Arsenal away, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home, who are flying. Brighton away, who
they'll probably beat Chelsea the way Chelsea have played recently. Chelsea have lost 3 on the spin at home, haven't they? Like Chelsea are very unpredictable.
But have we seen Man United recently? They've been an shambles.
Chelsea have been the same the last few weeks. It's just
Chelsea got thumped by Brentford.
Don't spoil that because I've got to go on to West Ham's fixtures next, and they've got Chelsea the weekend. Don't ruin it, Alex. So I mean, I personally, I think there's 8 or 9 points better than Man United there.
The problem is,
what are we saying Wolves are going to get?
I'm working my way down, mate. I'm going to work our way back. Give me a chance.
Because Man United
I'm doing this purely for hungry like the wolf in the comments.
He's going to love you by the end of this, mate. He's going to love you. So, I mean, I think 8 or 9 points for Man United. Now, moving on to West Ham. As I mentioned, Chelsea away, Europa League at home. Arsenal at home, Europa League away, Norwich away, Man City home, Brighton away. I mean, how interested? I mean, if they win the Europa League, that's a place in the Champions League, and that's big for any club. That's enormous for West Ham. So how much of a priority is anything but the Europa League for them now, Ben?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I also think that winning the Europa League is probably a bigger motivation than qualifying for the Champions League if you're West Ham. Yeah. I get that it's the same thing, but when you're in the semi-final, West Ham players aren't thinking, if we win this, we're in the Champions League. Yeah. They'll be thinking that we can win the Europa League.
Yeah, of course.
But by the by, I think they'll rest players in the Premier League because they haven't got a big enough squad not to.
They can't.
Yeah, but in reality, they're potentially, are they going to risk injuries for the Europa Conference League if they've got a place potentially in a final to win a major trophy and to win the Europa League?
If they get to the final, I think, fair enough. The last couple of games, you might see some changes, but I don't think until that's confirmed, I don't think they'll stop. Like, they're not going to, there's no way West Ham are going to turn their nose up at finishing in the Europa League place to get in the league, are they? Surely.
No, I don't think so. But let's turn it the other way around then. If it was Wolves, and we're in the situation now, for me personally, I'd be like, all my eggs in one basket. I want to be in the Europa League final. Don't care if we drop down to 8th. For me, this is the closest you're going to get. Look at those teams in that competition. This is a massive opportunity to win a major trophy and then get the reward of Champions League football directly qualification. Surely that's their priority, Ben.
I would say so. I would definitely say so. But then it's difficult to tell because 4 days before their second leg with Lyon, they still played Antonio, Rice, Souček, Bowen, Cresswell, Zuma, Dawes. Like, it was still the strongest team. They still got beat 2-0, but it was the strongest. They did name the strongest team. So we'll see. It's another round. It's another round further on, and it's not Barcelona as well, who it looked like it might have been. And like that semi-final,
Frankfurt looked good.
Frankfurt do look good.
Frankfurt looked really good.
I still think you. However naive it might be, I would still think you would feel more confident in beating Frankfurt.
Yeah,
Knocker. If you're making the choice, then are you prioritising? Are you going to try and do both, or are you focusing on Europa League to get that trophy and get in the Champions League?
I think they've got a similar size squad to us, really, haven't they? For me, I would take 10th in the Premier League and win the competition. I'll go all out for the cup because it's all right. You finish 6th, you get a run in Europe next year. Great, but if you can have that trophy, I mean, Villa have been living off their trophy for 40 years, haven't they? So if you can get that trophy and have that, that success and that become part of history for your club, I think you go all out and try and win that competition above all else for me.
Yeah, I think so as well. So let's move on to the Walls fixtures. Obviously, I mean, I'd never thought I'd ever be so nervous and equally excited about Wolves playing away at Burnley. The amount of times that we've said on different groups, season's finished now, it's over. And the results, then you win a game and then everyone starts losing. West Ham drop points, Man United drop points. And somehow with 6 games to go, Wolves are still in the race for 7th, potentially 6th. And I think it's ridiculous considering. So I don't think it's quite last chance saloon, but as Wolves are playing before, I think are they playing before West Ham at the same time on Sunday? Wolves could potentially move into 7th with a game in hand over West Ham. And for me, that is enormous. Me personally, I'm going to ask you now how many points you think. I think if Wolves win 3 of their final, if Wolves win 3 of their final 6, I think they'll finish 7th. I can see you twitching there a little bit, Alex.
I've got this season it will be lower.
Someone dropped a question. I'm going to put this in here because it's good timing as well. One of our regular contributors, Wayne Mackay. For Wolves to get 7th European football, we need to beat Burnley, Norwich, and Brighton and Norwich, then win 1 out of Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City. Do you agree? Now, I think that would maybe, but I'm not convinced. I think 3 would do it. I mean, imagine us being in a place and you ended up having Man City. Do look at Ben's face. Ben, talk to me.
Your maths isn't working because 9 points puts us on 58, which means United only have to get 5 more points, which they're going to get.
Yeah,
as we've just been through.
I'm only talking about 7th.
Well, West Ham have got to win. Have got to pick up 7 points from their last 5 games.
What's going to happen then?
Wolves need double figures from the last 6 games.
You reckon?
Maybe I think 11.
So you reckon West Ham are going to win quite a few? They've got Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Man City at home, Brighton away, Norwich away.
I reckon they'll get 7 points from 5 games.
They could beat Arsenal, Brighton, and Norwich. And get some.
Look at is everyone doing the maths? Ben's got his Excel sheet. Everyone's like,
I'm running out of fingers here.
You got 12, son. Use them all.
I think I don't think 9 will be enough. I think 10 at a stretch might do it. So I think if we can beat the 3 teams that you would think on paper are the easier of the 3, and then maybe pick up something in the last few games. I can only see anything against Chelsea. I think Liverpool and City are far too good, whereas Chelsea are a little bit of a lottery at times. 10 might get us into that 7th place. We're not going to catch Man United. I think you can get those ideas completely out of your head. That's never going to happen in a million years. But I think...
Sorry, carry on.
No, I just think I think 10 might get us 7th, but we ain't catching Man U. There's absolutely 0 chance we'll finish above United.
I'm doing this purely for Hungary's benefit, but I reckon Wolves might get 11 points.
Get in there.
I reckon there's
which big one we're taking a point off?
This is the thing. I reckon they might take some. I'm going to say it sound crazy now, but I think Wolves might take something from Man City, purely because of the job Wolves did.
We'll take a hiding from Man City if you fancy that, but we get no points.
If Raul Jimenez didn't get sent off against Man City in December, do you reckon Man City win that game?
No, 0-0.
No, but they're a different animal, aren't they? I mean, if you saw Liverpool against Man U, how good they were, and they're going neck and neck with City, I just think City, and when they need to win, they find a way to win, don't they?
I know, but there's also when the big teams play each other, when Man United play Man City, there's an expectation from Man United fans that Man United actually have a go and try and beat Man City, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's not an
absolutely.
I mean, there's not an expectation from us or Wolves fans that Bruno's got to set the team to go and have a right go at Man City and take them go toe to toe, is there?
I don't want to do that.
We did get toe to toe against Newcastle, so we've got no chance of doing it against Man City. It's a bit ambitious, that Alex.
You just sit here and take your point. I reckon I could see them getting something from that game. Don't ask me why. Just purely the defensive record, and I just think they could.
It's not beyond the realms, is it? I mean, we doubled them a couple of seasons ago, obviously, but I just think that in the running now, when they are desperate to. When they've got to win every game, both teams I think will win every game. City and
Pressure's
Liverpool.
on, though, Nocky. Pressure's on.
It is on. It is, but they've played Champions League, they've won FA Cups, they've won League Cups, they've won leagues. I don't think pressure's too much of an issue for them. I love the optimism, and I'd absolutely love to come back on here and eat humble pie, and I'd be delighted to. But I just
Do you know what I want the most? Yeah, I want Wolves to get 9 points and qualify for Europe, and come on and get these two back on, giving it one of these.
I think Wolves could even get 12.
I think we'll beat
Chelsea. I reckon they could beat Chelsea. This is the thing.
I think we'll
beat Chelsea.
Do you have a pub lunch today, Alex?
You watch Burnley stuff as 4-0 and it'll all be out the window anyway.
I'm just seeing hungry comments and I'm thinking, what can I say that's positive? What can I say?
Well, he's been making a few comments and I'll read some of that. Sick note, Leicester, thank you very much. And the new look Dream Team back on air. So thanks very much on your contributions. And I can assure you, Alex is immensely positive. So I don't know if he's upset you. I'm sure he's sorry if he has upset you. He's been positive today. So there's lots of comments come through. I'm going to read them before I stick them on the screen. So I've no idea what will pop up. So
it was that tweet about Pedence and everyone else being out.
Yeah.
Alex.
It was almost like Alex had done it on purpose, even though it's got no control. Yeah, the messenger was well and truly shot. Absolutely ruined
Happy
Knocker's
Friday.
weekend.
I have one of them.
And then he's off for his pub lunch. So, just finishing up on the race for 7th.
We're not racing for 7th, Ron. We're racing for 6th.
You just told me we're not going to finish above Man United. I wish you'd make your mind up.
I didn't say Man United. No, I said Man United. I reckon we'll get more than 6 points. You predicted.
Oh, okay.
We can still finish above Man United. I think
we'll beat Chelsea, but we'll lose to one of Burnley, Brighton, or Norwich.
Oh, Ben!
I guarantee they'll beat Chelsea and go and lose to Norwich or something. Honestly, that's what I'll
happen.
Oh, goodness me! So, just going to go around one by one. Nocky, yes or no answers. Will Wolves be playing European football next season?
No.
Oh, yes. Alex Dickin, Birmingham Live, Wolves correspondent. Are Wolverhampton Wanderers going to be playing European football next season?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Get in there, Alex. How about that one, Hungary?
If Hungary wasn't here, I wouldn't have said that.
He's definitely here, mate. He's saying a lot of things. Ben Husband and your big football brain, Ben. Wolverhampton Wanderers, will they be playing European football next season?
No.
Oh. Well, Alex,
I was just checking if Swansea or Cardiff are in the promotion pit to see if we might get a trip abroad. But no.
Alex, I'm going to go with you. I love your positivity, and I'm going to go with you. And I think Wolves will finish 7th. So 2 no's, so half 2 no's, 2 yeses. I think I was forced into making it a 50-50 as opposed to a 75-25. Nocky, I think Tyler's had a word with you. Ben often quite hits me with reality checks.
I love the positivity. I was positive I'd wake up with an afro this morning. You know what I mean? That didn't happen either. So you've got to.
Have you checked your back, son?
as much as I'd love to think we could, and I'd absolutely love to be wrong, I just think, based on that Newcastle performance, based on the injuries, based on what's available to us squad-wise, I just don't see us accumulating enough points to challenge.
Nocky, would your opinion change if Wolves beat Burnley on Sunday and Ruben Neves is back for the rest of the season?
Alex, if we beat Burnley and Ruben Neves comes back, I'll be optimistic we can win the Ryder Cup because that's how I work. If we win a game, then we're going to win everything. If we lose a game,
I had to really think about that for a second. Then come on, go easy on me.
But no, if we beat Burnley and Neves comes back, we've got an opportunity then, haven't we? But I do still think the 3 winnable games, we're going to need something else on top of that, and the only one I can see is Chelsea. Best case scenario for me.
Interesting.
My negativity is more based around the other teams rather than us as well. I just think they'll get too many points for us to finish above them.
Yeah, I think so.
Just a couple of comments to drop on before we move on to the next one. If we are signing players like Hwang, then I'm not hopeful that we will get the right players in the summer. Are you? Now, personally, me, I'm expecting quite a bit of change this summer at Wolves. I think quite a few will go, and a few fresh faces. Maybe names we've not really heard of that much will come in. So, yes, I think we're all united on the Hwang one, but I want to make it really clear. If Hwang proves me wrong or proves us wrong and comes good, fantastic. I'll eat humble pie. I'll eat my words because any player that's proved me wrong, it can only be good for Wolves. But yes, and this feels like an ideal time to move on to the topic of Adama Traore with, are you confident we'll get the right players this summer. So thank you for your comment, GL Collins. Gentlemen, Adama Traore, he's barely played a full match of minutes, accumulative minutes since February. For me, and I know, Nocky, you called this at the start, but this looks like an absolute disaster. Now, I know people will say he didn't want to be here, he wanted to move on. That may be the case. I didn't see Adama Traore down in tools, but if Barcelona come calling, of course he's going to want to go. What I don't understand is we've let him go there for nothing. There doesn't seem to be any guarantees in place. I don't know what Wolves are possibly getting out of this. And I'd love to be wrong and there's something in place. Whether the Trincao deal was something talking about. Trincao's talking about he wants Champions League football next season. Good luck. This Adama Traore deal, Ben. It's a stinker, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's not my money, so I don't care if he goes on a free. Like that is my opinion. I don't care. So if he comes back in the summer, people are going to kick off and be like, "Oh, we're going to end up losing him for free. Could have got a fee." They obviously couldn't get a fee because they wouldn't have done the deal. If someone would have came in and offered them 20 million, I imagine they'd have sold him for 20 million. That deal clearly wasn't on the table anywhere. Like they've made that deal because there wasn't another deal elsewhere. And yes, they should have kept him. They should have kept him without a doubt. But I'm also not I'm not jumping off a cliff because of it. And I'll see it as a positive if he's a Wolves player. I don't care. I'll happily have him for another season. So
yeah, I would absolutely love him here for another season. I think he's not as pure as some of the players that we've got, but in terms of raw entertainment and the noise the away end or the stand makes when he gets the ball and goes past somebody. As I think we talked about this before, when Raul was injured at the back part of last season, he was winning games for Wolves by himself. Like the goal at Fulham, I think he put a couple of crosses in for the home games. He was helping Wolves get away from that. I mean, saving them getting dragged in. So he gets a lot of stick. And I know people say he might have down tools, but for me, to me now, if Wolves miss out on 7th by a point and they've done it without Adama Traore, I think that's almost unforgivable, and an almost unforgivable recruitment strategy because it makes no sense. If, however, in the summer, a deal is done and Wolves receive 20-25 million and or a player, then maybe that's fair enough. But at the moment, I mean, you're not telling me at Newcastle we couldn't have done with Adama Traore. You know what I mean? Away at West Ham, Nocky. These games, away at Arsenal. We're not these games when you're under pressure and you need that ball to make teams have a think. Adama Traore would have made a difference at those games, Ben.
Yeah, but of course he would have. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I think what was a bigger mistake is, as harsh as it sounds, Wolves haven't been able to rely on Podence to not get injured. And if Podence stays fit for the entire season, it's not as big a miss. But he does pick up a lot of niggling injuries, and Neto still isn't fully fit. So there's a combination of factors. But to say that Traore had down tools is ridiculous. I mean, you look at even his last game at Brent. Was Brentford his last?
Yeah, he was fantastic at Brentford.
His last 3 games, 3 of his best this season.
Yeah. He was coming into form, wasn't he?
But then everyone will just say, "Oh, he just put himself in the shop window." When fair enough, he probably was, but he's been putting himself in the shop window for the last 2 years, hasn't he? So, I honestly, anyone who says Adama Traore would have down tools if Wolves had kept him in the end of the season is lying. I'd love to see the evidence of why they think that. And I think if he came back in the summer and was forced, I don't think he'd kick up a fuss. I think he'd be absolutely fine. I think he'd be great for Bruno, and I think he'd give his best to then get himself a good free transfer at the end of next season. I'm
with you both in terms of if we lost him for nothing, that's fine. But the reason I've always said I think Wolves will do a deal is because Fosun don't strike me as the kind of company that are going to make a loss on somebody. Even if this summer someone offered 10 or 15 million, I think they'll take it. Now that's going to hurt a lot, especially going into because most teams in the Premier League, probably not Man City, but most of the teams in the Premier League, if they can get Adama Traore as that impact player for 10 or 15 million, I think they're going to have a look at him. Most clubs. Who wouldn't want that as an impact player at worst?
I think everyone for that money, everyone will come in from all top clubs. All those managers who've spoken really highly of him down the years will be massively interested. Even managers abroad, like Mourinho's at Roma now, I can imagine he'd be interested in that deal.
Oh, imagine him in Italy coming on as a sub.
But the thing is, like that, it doesn't annoy me so much that he could leave for 10, 15 million because obviously there's only 1 year left in his deal. It annoys me more that he's gone on loan in January. He's barely kicked a ball since February. And when, Wolves have needed him, Wolves have had so many games. I mean, Wolves have still lost 5 of the last 8 in the league, haven't they? If you think about it.
Yeah, and you know what's annoying as well is I can't remember exactly who said it. It may have been Scott Sellers, but someone talked about him dropping down the pecking order at Wolves. What? I mean, look how thick. I mean, look at how insipid our wide forwards were away at Newcastle. There was nothing. Sorry, Alex, go on.
No, I'm just saying, is there a pecking order? Whoever said that, is there a pecking order under Bruno Lage for the wingers? Is there a pecking order? There's not.
If someone from senior at the club has said it, I'm guessing there is.
Bruno picks the players based on the opponent especially with the wingers, and picks them based on whoever they're playing. That's why we see Trincao start a lot of the home games. That's why we see Hwang play a lot of the games from the left, and come in, and players come in randomly. Who'd have thought Trincao would have come in at West Ham? I mean, he just picks them randomly. So Adama, yes, he wasn't starting games, but he was always the player that Bruno looked to first off the bench. And Bruno obviously decided that he was that kind of guy who could come straight from the bench and make a big impact, and he was doing that. That was the role he had. It didn't mean that he was any less important than the players he was starting. If anything, it made him more important because he was coming on at a vital time in each game.
I'm absolutely convinced, and I know people love the Football Manager Championship Manager stats of goals and assists, but I am absolutely convinced Wolves would have more points, even if it was one more points than they would have now with Adama Traore. And if Wolves miss out on a European place by 1 point, I mean, I know I'm going and repeating myself, but it's such an infuriating situation that feels self-inflicted when yet again Wolves are so close to getting European football.
But is there also not... There are some circumstances outside of Wolves' control as well, because when Barcelona made that deal, it was made under the proviso that Dembele probably wasn't going to play for them ever again.
And he's been brilliant.
And he's come back into form. Xavi's got him going again. He was basically out of the club. They were doing their best to get rid of him. He stayed and been fantastic for him. And that's changed the nature of the entire deal as well, which Wolves could never have predicted that. So that's also something to take into account.
Dembele's form. Dembele looked like there was talk of him leaving in January, and he wasn't going to sign a deal. And from the Spanish football that I've watched, mainly to try and watch Adama, when Dembele's played, he's looked like Barcelona's best player. The turning form, he looks like a man. Whether he's putting himself in the shop window or he wants to stay, he's refound that form of why I think they spend 110 million from Dortmund or something ridiculous like that, was it? An obscene amount of money for him, but he looks. You can see why Adama's not in the team. Yes, it's frustrating, but great point, Ben. Yeah, he looks a very, very good player.
But we couldn't predict that Dembele would come back into form. But at the same time, if you allow a player to go without any kind of obligation, you're putting yourself in trouble, aren't you? Especially if that contract is running down. All they've got to do is suggest they don't want him, and all of a sudden 10 million's come off the price tag so that the selling club don't lose financially out completely. So I just think it was a stupid deal from minute one for me. I don't think Adama was in any... was behind the scenes, and maybe he was pushing, I don't know, but he doesn't give me that impression. And the reaction from the management team and the players when he did leave doesn't give me the impression that they were desperate for him to get out the door. So for me, it was a deal that didn't need to happen. It could have been an agreement that end of this season we'll let you go, but we need you for the remainder of this season. I just don't see any benefit to Wolves of this deal. There's not one part of this deal that suits us as a club.
And I've said this many times. I've tweeted it, we've WhatsApped it, I've talked about it on here. I don't understand how Wolves, who are run by very intelligent business people that have made one of the most powerful conglomerates in the world, are prepared to do a deal without no agreement in place. Yes, they couldn't do a deal because of the financial restraints and they couldn't commit to it, but surely there has to be some kind of gentleman's agreement here. What benefit is there to Wolves?
They're business people, aren't they? They're not football people. So if you're a businessman, you're relying on your football people, your Scott Sellers and people like that to advise you in that capacity, and they were advised wrong for me. You can't make a gentleman's agreement with Barcelona. You can't rely on their integrity. Look at the Super League. Look at what they've done in the past. You cannot make a gentleman's agreement with a club like that. You need it in black and white. Otherwise, you absolutely leave yourself open. And you could see
it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, as soon as we signed,
you and Tyler both said it.
We made the announcement we were going to sign Hwang, didn't we? And that was absolutely the catalyst for it, because we knew that was the appeasement to the supporters that, look, we're spending a bit of money now, but we're going to let Adama go. It was just a disaster for me.
Just a comment on Hwang there. Ben Golding says you jumped the gun big time on signing Hwang. Yeah, I know we're going back a little bit, Ben, but I agree. And I think signing Hwang felt like at the time Wolves were trying to appease the fans. We're letting the Dharma go,
exactly
but we're going to keep it. And it feels like that we have jumped the gun there. Your mate here, Alex, has said, I don't think Hwang is back to 100% after his hamstring. Was he spectacular before his hamstring? He was scoring goals before his hamstring.
He's playing again now.
Yeah.
No, I actually wasn't massively impressed before the hamstring. I mean, I remember, I think me, you, and Ben were speaking, Ryan, when he was scoring those goals and saying, what else is he bringing to the team? And I don't think there is an awful lot else that Hwang brings to the team other than goals. And I think that was why he was always getting the edge over Traoré in that kind of inside left position, because Traoré at the start of the season was getting into like unbelievable positions, making runs in behind from that kind of left wing role. But his finishing was letting him down, simple as that, and he wasn't scoring the goals. And I think Bruno just kind of got to the point where he realised that, we're not winning games. So Hwang came into the team and Hwang started scoring goals, and he was the answer for that short period. Other than that, I always said every time Hwang gets the ball, I just keep thinking to myself, I wish that was Adama who had the ball there. And I still do. Whenever one of the wingers gets the ball, I just wish Adama had it instead.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we move on to the team, Hungary's put a comment up. I can't put it on the screen, but I can read most of it. It says, Alex is fine. I just saw a couple of his videos when you were both being miserably pessimistic. Haven't seen too many more to the live post being swamped by ads. So, your relationship is back on, Alex. It's all good. It's all good. We fixed it. You know what I mean? The Wolves report fixing relationships. That's what we're here to do.
At least that's one good thing we've done today.
We got unbelievably 8.5 minutes left. Are you okay to stay, Ben? Or are you expecting you?
He's still asleep for now, so we're
fantastic.
Rattle on.
Good stuff. Well, Noki's still awake. So
we're talking about Tyler.
Let's move on now to our game on Sunday. Now, I know Tyler, who's not on the podcast today, he was at the open training, and I know Alex, you were at the press conference earlier on today. What was the initial feedback from Bruno today about the team, the options for the weekend?
So Max Kilman limped off in that opening training session. He's unavailable. It's only been 48 hours, Bruno says, so he's still waiting to kind of find out the extent of the injury. Pedence hasn't trained still, got a sore toe, I think. So he's still not trained, so he won't play either. And obviously Neves has been back in light training, but he won't play this one. It's hoped that Neves might resume full training next week and then be involved against Brighton. And then the game after is Chelsea. So hopefully he'll be returning soon, or return to the bench at least.
Well, that's in terms of Neves. I know it doesn't really help this weekend, but to have him pushing again when we thought it might be the end of the season, he's been probably him, Kilman, Jose Sarr, probably Wolves, probably Semedo as well before he got injured. Wolves' 4 best players this season. The loss of Ruben Neves, I think any Premier League team would feel. So to have him close to a return, if Wolves could get something the weekend with Neves returning, that is such a huge push. And it almost makes me think then, I believe what you said, Alex, and we can get a point off one of those big boys in those games, because Neves is that player in those games that can do something, that holds the team together. So, yeah, it's fantastic. Ben, going on to the game Sunday, what changes would you make? Who would you bring in now? I know you really like the curly-haired lad up front. You're a big fan, but what would you do with it? What would you do with the team setup?
I think I'd bring Semedo back in at right wing back, and I'd put Johnny left wing back. I would obviously still start Fabio Silva. I don't need to.
I would as well.
Yeah, I don't. But you'd start him with Jimenez.
Yeah, I'd go 3-5-2.
I think that's an option. But
who plays in the middle then?
Kundal, Dendoncker, and Matinho.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure who. I'd potentially even play Kundal as the 6. But I think Dendoncker would probably be a more solid 6. But I think you lose more from Dendoncker.
I thought Dendoncker against Villa, when he playing deep in front of the back 3 centre, he was fantastic. He actually using his physique and his size, the way he was bringing the ball out of defence, he was popping people out of the way. I was like, he's such a big bloke.
Thing is, though, Ryan, he does this he plays in that position for Belgium, who are like top ranked nation in the world, and does it really well. Like, he is like traditionally a number 6, a defensive midfielder who breaks things up. Wolves have only had to play him as when they play a three midfield, they've only had to play him further forward because obviously they've got Ruben Neves, who is the best six at the club. So, I think he's perfect in that role. I just think Wolves might lose a little bit going forward if he's not there. Not that he's a brilliant finisher or whatever, because he's the worst finisher in the world. But
you've seen him play football.
I was going to say, mate, you've seen nothing yet.
I just think they'd lose something with his box to box. But I potentially reckon it'll go to 3-5-2 against Burnley.
So, Nocky, what would you do then in terms of the forward line? Because for me at Newcastle, I know we lost the bit in the middle of the park, but the fact that when we did get it forward, we offered absolutely nothing. What we're going to do to change that at Burnley?
I will go 3-5-2 as well. It's set up exactly as Alex said. I think they're going to hit us in midfield. I think if we can win that battle, it gives us a chance of pushing forward. I have a little suspicion he might bring Dendoncker in, go 2 in midfield and then go 3 up top. But judging on the pictures coming out of the training session and conversations we've had, I could see him maybe not playing Trincao and pushing Silva wide of Raul with Hwang the other side. I could see him maybe doing that. But for me, I'll go 3-5-2, try and make it. They're going to be flying at us, aren't they, after the Southampton result. So maybe if we just stabilise in the first half and then push on and try and get ourselves into the game second half. It'd be interesting to see them two play together as well. I think Silva and Raul, that could be a decent partnership up front.
Never started a game together, have they? I don't think.
No, but I think
they started at Crewe together, Alex. Did they play a bit of time at Crewe in a friendly?
Did they?
I think so.
Yeah, to be fair, Raul went off after about 30 minutes, didn't he? And then Catrona came.
I don't know how I pulled that out, mate. Honestly, don't know how that's happened. But I'm pretty sure they played 9 and 10 that day.
They did. I remember it.
Wow.
Raul would have to be the deep line person there, though, out of the two of them.
Raul was deeper at Crewe.
No, but I mean, just don't get tricked in, because people have always got this thing that Fabio would be a really good number 10, and whereas when you look at the two, Fabio's better on the shoulder of the last defender, and Raul wants to be a centre midfielder anyway, so let him do that.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when he gives away free kicks, at least it's on the halfway line.
Just on the subject, then I'm going to drop another question in on a return. I want to get as many as we can in. What is Neves worth? Now, I know it's a brief question from Paul Nichols, but what he's worth to someone else, what is he worth to Wolves, and where can he take Wolves if he doesn't go? So for me, what do you think we get this summer, guys? 60 million?
I reckon they get 60, but I reckon they should try and push for 100.
Yeah, I think 50 to 60, but to Wolves, I think he's priceless.
If it's Man United on the phone, which is what it sounds like it might be, and they're happy to pay 80 million for Harry Maguire and 89 for Pogba and players like that, I'd want that sort of money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We'll take that then. Thanks for your question, Paul, and thanks everyone for your comments. I'm sorry I couldn't get them all on. Some of them were a little bit spicier than I could probably put on before the watershed, but it's great to have interaction when the show's live, so thank you for your contributions. I've got try and get one more on before we move on to the predictions. I think we've done this one briefly before, but let's get it up anyway. John 87, with 6 games remaining, who is your player of the season? Discuss. Well, I've got 2 minutes, so we can't really discuss. So one-word answer. My player of the season, still, even though he's a bit crazy, but I love him, I'm going to have to go with Jose Sarr. Ben?
Yeah, same.
Alex, look at you two still thinking.
I'll go Neves.
Neves, yeah.
I'll go Kilman. Would have been Semedo if he'd have stayed fit.
Nice little variation there. Good stuff. And we are at that time of the show with a minute and a half remaining when I need your first goal scorer and score prediction for Burnley away. Knocker, you're the regular pundit, mate, so you're going to go first on this one, buddy. No pressure, and you're wearing Tyler's shoes tonight, don't forget.
Well, before Alex ruined my weekend, I was quite confident. I still think we can pinch it. I'm going to say 2-1 Wolves. Jimenez.
Oh, yes, we'll have some of that. Ben?
3-1 Wolves, and Fabio Silva will score the first, second.
We can't have you coming on here like this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Alex, how can you beat that?
Whatever you're drinking, send it my way.
Oh, my God. Oh. I'm going to go 3-0 Wolves.
Oh my God. You two have not got the memo, have you, at all? This is far too much positivity.
What's going on here?
I reckon it's going to be all goals in the second half, and I'm going to go Moutinho to score the first one. Because Ben nicked my prediction, so I'll just have to
Wow.
Sweet.
Well, I'm in so much bother right now because I have to give balance to the show as I'm the host, but I can't not go a Wolves win. So back from a 2-game ban, 1-0 Wolves, Raul Jimenez. This has been episode 27 of the Wolves Report. Thank you so much to Ben, Alex, and Nocky for sparing your time and joining us on this. Hopefully, when I'm up and running fully, we'll be able to do more of these episodes. But thank you for your company. Thank you for your comments. Up the Wolves.